Hey, what's up? My name is J.M. Chaley and welcome to my channel. This week I want to talk about useless words. Sometimes we call them filler words or crutch words, but they're just words that just take from your manuscript. They're scene clogging bastards and they just add clutter to your whole manuscript and detract from the readability of your work. We're all familiar with filler words, words like just, really, very. Even Mark Twain said that he was going to take his manuscripts and replace every instance of the word very with the word damn, just because he knew his editor was going to take it out either way. Now hold on. I know some of you might think, well, I'm writing this in my character's voice. I have a third-person deep point of view, or I have a first-person point of view, and this is just how they talk. Or maybe the words are in dialogue. That's fine, but you still have a reader on the other end of your manuscript, so you want to have this as clean as possible and as strong as possible. Filling our conversations with filler words as we talk in normal speech, when you read it, it sort of pumps the brakes a little bit and detracts from the scene you're trying to unfold. Filler words that can detract from the scene include words like suddenly, which warns the reader that something's about to happen instead of just hitting him with it right out of the gate. Words like almost might be a confusing descriptor. The vase was almost cracking. How do I picture that? Is there a crack in the vase or not? The word like is often flagged as a popular filler word to avoid. I mean, we use it in speech a lot, like if we're trying to find, like the kind of word that we're trying to describe, but we can't find the right word, But when we're writing and we use the word like, it usually accompanies a simile. And similes are not the greatest descriptors. So although it's not necessarily a filler word in the sense of me saying like in speech, it is still a very weak phrasing. And instead of using a simile, you could use a stronger descriptor. So as you go through your manuscript and you find instances of the word like, you may want to replace them with stronger descriptions. In my early drafts of my own manuscript, I used filler words that were trying to set time with action, like began to walk or started to write and now, and words like that conveyed time and action. Well, all of my prose is written in the past tense. That's the tense I chose to use. So it was a little disjointed to say something like, Cynthia started walking through the burning wastes. What does that look like exactly? She's standing with one foot out, ready to go? Critique Partners flagged this one and said, you should just say she walked through the burning wastes. It read so much cleaner, and it just was a better descriptor of what she was doing. Now is an example of a filler word that can be taken out, and pretty much your sentence is fine without it. You don't have to tweak it or edit it any more than that. You just take out the word now. Now she was ready to climb the ladder. She was ready to climb the ladder. Now she unopened her present. She unopened her present. I mean, this is a perfect example of a filler word. It's absolutely useless. You don't need it. It adds clutter. There are other words that are like now, fluffy words that can be taken out where your sentence just survives without it. You don't have to do any editing, you just pluck it out and the sentence works without it. Just, really, very, only, then, that. There are a lot more, but you probably know what they are. And honestly, I could do probably 2 hours reciting all the filler words, but Google is a thing, so have at it. But I want to call out one word in particular from that list. This motherfucker. That is, I don't know. For me, it is the quintessential bane of my existence. My early drafts were riddled with the word that. And in most cases, it can be plucked out and the sentence is fine without it. I know many writers that avoid filler words, but specifically only go after the word that when they're doing revisions and editings on their own, just to make sure that this word isn't prolific or used when it's not supposed to be used. Consider this sentence. Steve put on the sweater that he wore last Thursday. You take the word that out. Steve put on the sweater he wore last Thursday. You don't need it. Tom pulled the lever that turned the machine on. This one you might need some restructuring. Tom pulled the lever, turned the machine on. Doesn't make any sense. So that's why you have the word that, right? Tom pulled the lever that turned the machine on. Well, you can make the sentence stronger by removing that. Tom pulled the lever and the machine turned on. One example. And what about that? We've all seen this. We've spoken the words. We've read it. That is a combination of two that's that are together, and they're grammatically correct. That's the killer. But if you're like me, when you read that in a sentence, it slows things down. It trips you up. You have to kind of go, wait, that, is this a misprint? Did they typo this? Did they mean to type this? Oh, that. Oh, I see what they mean. It sucks. It's not good. It's grammatically correct, but when you read it, at least for me, I get tripped up. So let's take a closer look at that, because I think we need to understand exactly why it's used and how it's used and how we can make it better. The first thing we need to know about the word that is that there are three ways to use the word that grammatically. The first is the subordinating. I know that this is my glockenspiel. The second is the demonstrative pronoun. That is my glockenspiel. And the third is an adjective. That glockenspiel is not mine. A that occurs when you have a subordinating that next to a demonstrative pronoun or an adjective version of the word that. I know that is my glockenspiel, for example. See, I tripped myself up even fucking speaking. I know that is my glockenspiel. It's grammatically correct. You can say it. But if I read the words, I'd go, what? So how do I clean that up? Well, you could say, I know that this glockenspiel is mine. Or you could say, I recognize this glockenspiel. It's mine. I mean, get colorful. We're writers, after all. We don't have to completely just pluck out that and use what's left over. We can restructure and edit and revise and make our sentences stronger. What about a sentence like, Stephen put on a sweater that kind of weather called for? Well, you could say, Stephen put on a sweater that the weather called for. Or you could go stronger and say, it was cold outside, so Stephen put on a sweater. Okay, so we listed off a bunch of filler words. We took a deeper dive into that. The word that. There's still a lot. When I was researching doing this video, I found web pages like 180 filler words to avoid. I'm not turning this into a mini-series, and I'm sure you're not going to sit through a 4-hour video of me talking about useless words that suck. What I recommend for you, if you're going through your own manuscript and wondering if you're using any of these words or if anything can be eliminated or boosted up or made stronger in your own prose, I think you know you. I think you know your own voice. You know what words you use and maybe use often that can be eliminated. If you're an overwriter, this is great. You could cut down on the size of your manuscript. If you're an underwriter, I'm sorry, but it is going to make your manuscript stronger, I promise. So that about wraps it up. Useless words, words that you can eliminate from your manuscript and make it even stronger without taking away from your content, without slashing scenes or taking dialogue away from your characters. These are just useless layabout bastards that are just squatting in your manuscript rent-free. Give them the boot, you know? If you like this video, please give it a like, and as always, subscribe. I post every Thursday, and you can also follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you want to read the first chapter of my novel in progress, A Flower in Hell, go to jmchaley.com, read the first chapter. Check out the other stuff on my webpage too. I've got some art. You can send me a message, and you can sign up for my newsletter. Let's keep in touch. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.